Hi, Jim Malady here from Coldwell Banker, here to talk to you about not a popular subject, but the subject of septic tanks. Tanks are, and the septic systems are a necessary thing. So anyways, I'm at my own house here. Here, I'll actually get you down over to the tank here. Here it is actually, I've got something called a a two tank lift type of station here. I actually have to lift it. So rather than use gravity, I'm actually using a pump to lift up my effluent, as they call it. Now my own system here consists of of a tank right there that actually has got that chamber there. This is actually the septic tank, and it actually goes over to another tank over here, and this is actually the lift tank here. So the solids and the liquids come into the septic tank, and then there's a filter process there where there's something called baffles, and then when after the solids fall to the bottom of the tank and liquids are left over, the liquid actually goes over to the next chamber tank, whereas the pump lifts it, in this case, up a hill, up over there. Here's a very rudimentary drawing of a septic tank here. You have the input of the stuff coming into the tank, the solids fall to the bottom, the liquids, the solids eventually, some of them will liquefy, and then when the liquids get high enough, it flows out to the drain field. And the drain field should only really see liquids. There is something here, they call those the baffles. They act as a filter to prevent solids from moving on to the drain field there. You don't want this pipe to get clogged up with solids. No solids, it's no good. That's kind of wrecks things. That's why we want the solids to come to the bottom. Now when the pumpers come out, by state statute, the pumpers have to come through an opening in the top of the tank, and they actually suck out all the water, but what they're really trying to suck out are the solids on the bottom. That's the purpose of the septic pumper, is to remove the solids from the tank. Now outside I showed you my system, and I have a two chamber tank. Think of it as just two tanks. Whereas I have the septic tank there, which works just like the normal tank, except in this case I have baffles, filter if you will, and it goes over to a second chamber called the lift tank, and there's a large pump on the bottom of it. So when the fluids come over here, this tank should see no solids, just fluids. It lifts the effluent out to the drain field, is what happens there. So that's actually a two chamber system. This allows us to have not gravity feed the fluids. We can actually send fluid uphill to a drain field. It's also called a dosing system by many installers and pumpers. And dosing meaning that the only time that it sees fluid, it's being dosed out when there's actually a float here that goes up and down. It tells that pump when to turn on and when to turn off, is what the purpose of the float is. And there is no check valve. What they want to do here is they want it to go out to the field, but what doesn't make it out to the drain field out there actually just goes right back into the tank. There's a reason for that here in this part of the world. You don't want fluid in this pipe for long periods of time, and the reason why you don't is because it could freeze in the winter. If there's only effluent in that pipe when it's being pumped, much less chance of freezing. It's a very robust system for winter operation to have a pump system, a lift system, or a dosing system. I am standing on my drain field right now. You can see very briefly, we still have snow. Yes, it's May. Sorry about that, but it's beautiful. It's 70 degrees and sunny, and we're just getting rid of our last signs of winter. But there's a vent pipe there, and another one over there. Allows for some of the gases to escape, and it just allows for better drainage. There's larger pipes on this end here, and that's actually towards the house. That's the front end, and you can't see the slope, but I probably got 15 feet of elevation between the grade down below and here. Now the purpose of the drain field is to take the effluent and actually drop it into the ground. So all there are in the ground of the drain field is not a very complex thing at all. All it is a plastic pipe with holes in it, and there's rock. Usually they put a rock base under it, and they will sometimes put sand in there as well. Its only purpose is to dissipate those liquids. Remember, there's not solids going out there, only liquids. So the liquids come out to these two pipes and they just drain into the soil. We're blessed with very, very sandy soil here in the Northwoods. In most places, you get some areas in the UP, it gets kind of heavy again. But here it's very, very sandy. So the water, the effluent drains very, very well here. So we don't have to have much in the way of beds. The other thing is that the size of the field is determined by how much water the soil can absorb. The more sandy the soil is and less clay in the soil, the more water it can dissipate. And they measure it, I think, in gallons per minute when you look at a perk test. And a perk test is doing that. It's measuring how much water the soil can absorb. Now, what sort of problems do you have with septic systems? The main problem you have when you're doing septic tests up here are old systems. And some of the old systems, they went with steel drums in cans, and they were large, and they usually were 750 or 1,000 gallons, and the steel is just rusted out. The newer systems, or the better systems, have concrete. The very new systems now are using plastics and fiberglass, and I understand they work very, very well. Septic systems are measured in bedrooms, technically gallons, but it depends on how many bedrooms the home has, and that's how big the septic system should be. It should accommodate. It doesn't. You could have 10 bathrooms and 3 bedrooms. You still would have a 3-bedroom system. That's just the way the state of Wisconsin does it. Problems that you have with a septic system, again, I said the steel tanks are a problem oftentimes. Clogged drain fields is another one. If you have a drain field that's clogged, that's difficult to fix, and oftentimes it's cheaper and easier just to put in a new drain field. The baffles get clogged, the filters get clogged. You should always have it pumped often and have the filters cleaned at the same time. So anyways, when you're buying Northwoods real estate, very few homes up here have city water and city sewer, most times septic. Mother Nature does a remarkable job treating effluent and the stuff that we kick out and turning it into something more usable, one day, obviously hundreds of years from now. But nonetheless, I hope this helps understand septics.